don't play 4 quarters of football. You can't win games every single week in the playoffs playing a half football, man. You just can't do it.
It's just weird with the 3-0 teams now because you would usually think the Broncos or the Seahawks are going to be the 3-0 teams.
Definitely.
You know, those are the teams to beat. Those are, you know, the top 2 teams in the NFL. And they, you know, they played last week as well. Seattle won in overtime.
Great game.
It's so weird, you know, not having that one team that stands out saying, okay, that's the team to beat in the AFC. That's the team to beat in the NFC. Those are the 2 teams that they need to beat. It's weird not having that, and I don't think I see that in the Cardinals or the Eagles. You know, I just don't see it.
They're not that big of a factor. They're going to lose sooner or later. That's all
they can be beat. They can be beat, and you know they've been exposed before, and I believe they will be beat.
I think personally that if the Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals, I don't believe that the Cardinals are going to actually win their division. They can surprise me. I think they're going to sneak into the wild card this year for the first time in a long while.
They're first place right now.
They're first place, but they're only 1 game ahead against a great Seahawks team. And we all know that Drew Stanton is a backup quarterback that is playing lights out right now. But, again, he's still a backup. Not sure if he is the starting material. But I think if the Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals both win home field advantage this season, playoff season, I think they're going to be those Super Bowl teams, man. They can definitely
Andy Dalton
win.
is
They can win in Cincinnati, and they definitely don't lose in Philly. You know that already. They lost last year in the playoffs.
Andy Dalton is 0-3 in the playoffs ever since starting job.
I mean,
0-3 or maybe 0-4. I'm not sure.
He's getting paid. He doesn't.
It
doesn't matter to him.
He's
getting paid.
The guy got a big contract. Fixed his new hair. He's got the rich haircut right now. The
guy's getting paid. He doesn't care. But he wants to win for his team too.
I think this guy's a winner, and I think it's only a matter of time before he gets that playoff win and eventually that Super Bowl. Because the Cincinnati Bengals are just 1 step away.
It's nice to want, but you know what? You can't just want something. You gotta own that.
Yep.
Andy Dalton needs to own that. He needs to own, that position on the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think he's doing that so far.
I think he's doing it as well, man. The guy does. He really would do anything it takes to win a football game. As you saw last week when they were up, and this guy goes out for a pass and catches it with the defender all over him, going for the pick, and he still catches it, runs and dives in the end zone as he was a wide receiver. That shows me that he's a quarterback that just wants to win. He doesn't care about being a pretty boy quarterback that gets hit and cries when he gets hit like Brady. The guy just wants to get out there.
That's a Jet fan coming out of him.
He doesn't really care if he gets hurt. Hit once in a while.
That's a Jet fan coming out of Ronoldy.
That's a sneak diss.
Well, you got to throw a couple of those in there. But all honesty, Brady's a hell of a quarterback. But Andy Dalton is not afraid to get touched, unlike Brady and Peyton. They cry to the referee as soon as they're being looked at in a certain way. So.
Absolutely, I agree. The same. I'm a Colts fan. I hate the Patriots too. I don't like Tom Brady, but he's good, and you can't say I hate Tom Brady and he's terrible. You can't say that. I hate Tom Brady, but he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and that's the truth. But anyway, we're gonna take off the NFL right now. We're gonna put on the MLB postseason coming up. The Pirates are 1.5 games out of first place. Do you think they'll do it, Ronoldy?
1.5 out of first place, and if they don't get the first place, they're definitely going to make the wild card, right?
Absolutely.
I think they haven't been in the playoffs since '92. Is that correct? Since about '92.
So.
I mean,
somewhere around there.
22 years. That's crazy.
That's crazy. The Jets win the Super Bowl in 50 years?
Yeah, not messing around over
here.
This guy joking around.
New York Jets.
It's been nearly 50 years, about 49, 48 years. Besides that. We're talking about
I think they'll cross definitely.
I think Robert McCutcheon is a fantastic. I think he's the best, and I'm not saying anything, but the guy he's the African American leader in the MLB. If you ask me, the guy's an outstanding baseball player, and I think he's going to take the position of the captain of the MLB from Derek Jeter. He's going to be passing the torch between him and the Angels' young Mike Trout. Guys, beasts. Both guys are great. I honestly think that the Pirates are not going to take the division. And I think the St. Louis Cardinals are going to take the division.
What do you think about that? Derek Jeter, last game tonight in Yankee Stadium, and before they go off to Boston to play there.
I mean, it's going to be a heartfelt moment. You said they got Boston tonight?
No, they got they're playing Orioles tonight.
Oh, they got
Boston for the weekend.
Boston for the weekend is going to be interesting. But tonight, last game in Yankee
Baltimore,
Stadium,
they have the division, right?
They got the division, yeah.
Baltimore wrapped it up already, man.
Yankees are in second place.
No,
they're behind by like 11, 12 games.
Not even close. Yeah.
Not even close.
I think last time I checked it was 11.5. So
we have to remember too, the Yankees 80% of their starting roster was out for the most of the season.
Very
no
true.
Pineda, no Tanaka, no CC Sabathia. I mean,
no CC, no Tanakas.
Exactly.
And they were playing good baseball when all those.
You got to give credit to Brian Cashman though. I mean, he brings in Brandon McCarthy, Chris Capuano. All the some of these guys who are like 2-10 on the season, right, with like a 4 or 5 point something ERA, and they still do great, and they still are gonna wind up over 500.
Yeah.
When was the last time the Yankees went under 500, if ever?
Well,
right?
Well, Pittsburgh. I'm looking at some definitely in the wild card, no doubt. That's not even a question. They're already in. They're already clinched.
Absolutely. Yankees last night.
Yeah, it's just sad, heartbreaking for Jeter. We all want to see him keep going. 20 years in pinstripes is pretty impressive itself.
Pretty impressive, yeah.
And a captain for most of his career. Also pretty impressive, and gotta love that guy, man. You can't really say anything bad about him.
The thing about Jeter is, he isn't one of those guys where, he has a lot of talent, and that's why he's the best. The reason why he's the best is because, he played over 2,900 games, and every single one of these games, he showed up and played his heart out. Every single one of those games. You never saw Derek Jeter, behind in 1-2 count saying, you know what, whatever, I'll strike out. I'm 3 for 3 on the night. You never saw that from Jeter. Every single pitch he took seriously. No matter if it was April or October, he took every single pitch, every single inning, every single game seriously, even if it didn't matter.
Pretty impressive. Well, looking at it here, Washington, man, gotta be impressed with Washington from a couple years back.
They're a young team. They're a young
3 years
team.
back, 4 years back. You look back to that garbage team, that team that nobody really supported, bags over people's heads, and saying, when are we going to be good? And they finally got that pitching rotation down pat. They got some good batters and
Bryce Harper.
And I mean, I'm just looking forward to them in the playoffs. But I'm also looking forward to seeing St. Louis and Pittsburgh in the playoffs. I actually think Pittsburgh can go a little far if they don't have to play St. Louis. I think St. Louis is the championship team coming out of the NL.
Really?
Yeah. Again, and they're just that good. They're just good. What can you say? You can't really say anything bad about them. They lost our Pujols and they still go back. Like, that's crazy. It just happens. But coming out of the AL, you gotta be thinking the Angels. You gotta be thinking the Angels coming out of the AL. Like,
it's a toss-up because I like Detroit just as much. Detroit. I like Baltimore because they have a strong pitching rotation and batting lineup. I mean, it's just they go hand in hand with that. And I think Baltimore has been really strong throughout the whole entire season. I believe that Baltimore can go all the way. They could beat out Los Angeles.
Yeah, it would be close. I mean, I personally, I want to see Pittsburgh. I don't think they have it yet. The pitching rotation or even batting, they're just inconsistent at times. But they finally closed the gap and finally snuck into the playoffs it's been a long time.
Right, yeah.
About time, and I'm actually happy for that franchise. I'm rooting for the Yankees, but, they're obviously not going to be in there, so I got to go for the Pittsburgh Pirates this playoff season.
Not the Dodgers?
Not going for the Dodgers, man. I don't like the Dodgers, man. Everybody talks about Puig being the show-off, this, that, and the other, but honestly,
Clayton Kershaw. How do you not like Clayton Kershaw?
I love the guy. I love the young Dodgers, man. They're good young baseball team. They got great batters and they got great pitching, but they just don't sell me. There's something about the Dodgers that just reminds me that they're the Dodgers, and I just don't believe in them.
Yeah. You're right, yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I'm feeling like, the Dodgers are a strong team. But I don't know if the Dodgers are in to win it, though. They might get a little bit, maybe the divisional round they might go to. But there's just something about the Dodgers, and there's something about a couple other teams, too, like Kansas City, that I just don't like about them, that they can be shut down.
Yeah. It's just... Wait, Kansas City going to make the playoffs this year?
Oh, yeah, most likely.
Oh, Kansas City sneaks in, and they're going to be in the AL. I'm rooting for Kansas City to do something big this season in the playoffs, postseason, and I'm looking for the Pirates. Those are not my sleeper teams, but those are the teams that I just will be rooting for and just giving them a round of applause, watching their games, excited for them, finally getting back to the playoffs, and it's good for baseball to see those teams that have been down for years finally make it to the playoffs. Shows that there's competition in the growth of baseball, because baseball's been dominated by one team for like 10 years, and it's finally good to see more teams being active in the playoffs and postseason.
Moving on to some NHL before we close out the show. it's gonna be an exciting year. I think I'm really excited for. I'm a huge Ranger fan. Excited for the Rangers to get back on the ice. You got Dan Boyle, one of the guys they picked up, Lee Stefaniak. They picked up a couple other guys too off the free agency. I think they're a better team from last year. I think that they can beat out Pittsburgh and win their division. What do you think?
Beat out Pittsburgh. Now that is something
they beat Pittsburgh in the postseason last year. I believe that they can beat Pittsburgh. But the thing is, that you have to remember, Pittsburgh, they get the early points. They don't lose 10, 15 games in the first 2 months. You see Pittsburgh go like 20-3, 30-5, and they pick up early points, and they really start to slow down, lose a little bit of fire during the season, maybe like around March, April.
I'm obviously talking to a Rangers fan here, and all I gotta say is, 94 was the last time you guys got a World Stanley Cup, and you guys went there last year to the finals, and I'm just thinking, you guys have no chance in hell of winning a game.
No chance again?
Winning that. I'm taking myself back to the playoffs and back to that moment. I'm just thinking over here, I don't believe in you guys again. Just because, man, when New York teams are finally winning and they're showing persistence and starting to look good, what happens? Everybody jumps on the bandwagon, and I'm a superstitious guy when it comes to my sports. And I know when people come out of closets saying that they're Rangers fan, die hard, when they weren't a Rangers fan yesterday and now they are today, you got to be worried about that, man. It's not saying good things. It says good things about your team being better, but I wouldn't be confident in a team that has so many supporters who weren't supporters the day before. It just scares me.
What does that have to do with their performance on the ice?
Obviously, they didn't play great in the Stanley Cup, so...
literally has
Los Angeles was just a better team.
I said superstition.
The reason you want to know the reason why they made it to the Stanley Cup last year was Henrik Lundqvist. That was the only reason why they made it. Henrik Lundqvist was the only reason that the Rangers made it anywhere. He was the guy. They had, the defense was absolutely terrible. Dan Girardi gave up so many turnovers in that Stanley Cup Finals. You had to have Henrik Lundqvist, the last guy to beat to make the save. And it's just, you can't do that with the defense. That's just not showing up for you. And, in the Stanley Cup.
And you're talking about winning the division, and you're just, now I finally baited you out of speaking highly of your team with my slick comment about superstition. But you're finally giving me all that information, and your team is not as good as you think they are. They don't have defense.
They're absolutely good as I think they are. They have a defense. They picked up Dan Boyle, one of a hockey veteran who has been great for so many years and still continues to rock. And they picked up some other big tough guys that are going to take control over the ice. They look pretty good last.
I mean, they were
Monday in the preseason.
There were a
game.
couple defensive stops in possession away from winning a Stanley Cup. If they could stop more goals, what would have happened?
I'm talking to a Jets fan. I'm talking to a Jets fan right now. This is why I can't get through to him. I'm talking to a Jets fan. The Rangers, I honestly believe that they can go back to the Stanley Cup only because they have one of the fastest offenses in the AHL. I don't care what anybody says. You talk about Chris Kreider, Carl Hagelin, Marty St. Louis of all people. He's still I still believe he's a top 5 forward, even though he's 37, 38 years old.
You make me laugh because all that points and all those guys who can score and nothing to show for it in the Stanley Cup. It's kind of funny to talk about, hey, we got scorers, but hey, you got no points when it mattered most. So it's like, does it really matter? Does it really matter? You got to stop.
Because the reason why
score goals, you got to stop.
We scored goals in the Stanley Cup. The reason why we didn't win was because we didn't have that defense to surround Henrik Lundqvist. He was looking for his defense to come up and make a couple blocks and make some good quality plays, and they didn't. They didn't do that in the Stanley Cup. They were able, the Rangers were able to outscore everybody, and they were able to outscore Pittsburgh. They climbed back from a 3-1 deficit in the series. They're able to outscore, the Canadians, especially in Game 1, 7-2. They're able to score. It's just, can their defense hold up, and can they make it back with that defense? That's the question for the
season as we wrap it up here today.
It's
the question for the season is, are they going to be? We'll see. Obviously,
we'll see. Absolutely.
The
Rangers are going to go back and.
Yeah, you're going to be laughing in my face, but I'm still laughing over here. You guys haven't won a Stanley Cup since '94.
He doesn't watch hockey. He doesn't watch hockey
since '94. But you can't argue with the stats, man. The stats don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Since '94, you guys have been championless, while the Devils in New Jersey have won championships in this millennium. I mean, you can't really argue with that.
Wait, 3 Stanley Cups Devils have, and the 4 Stanley Cups the Rangers have. I thought so. Exactly right. Anyway, we're out of time today. Great first episode rather of the Sports Basement. I'm Zach, Rahman, Ronoldy. We'll see you next week.